Hello and welcome to another scintillating episode of the Three Moons podcast. I'm Gavin.
I'm Audrey.
And I'm Jordan.
And we're coming at you like a spider monkey from Robert Lang Studios in Shoreline, Washington. And we're up in the duality room again. You can see the cool Star Trek board behind us.
Ooh.
Got some cool stuff going on.
If only I was wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
No, then that would die.
The red shirts die.
Yeah, the red shirts die.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's how you know somebody's gonna die.
Yeah.
in Star
Someone
Trek.
like you've never seen before in a red shirt shows
Really?
up.
Yeah,
Oh.
that means they're gonna
They're
die.
gonna be dead within
Wow.
with
Changes everything.
Within
if
the
not
episode.
within that if not that episode, like a couple episodes.
I mean, Audrey's wearing red lipstick, so... Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, you're the reddest thing here.
I don't know.
so
Maybe in like Battlestar Galactica, if you wear black. No.
I don't know. I'm gonna tap out on that one.
Battlestar Galactica fans,
I'm just
Thank you.
I'm Star Wars.
Holler at your
whatever.
brother. Yeah.
Holler at me.
Yeah. Yeah, those are gonna be some emails you're gonna love to read. Cool. Well, hey, thanks for showing up again, and you two, as well as any other listeners.
Oh.
And we're just gonna dive right into it, and we're gonna talk about
What's your signal chain?
what that signal chain is.
What that signal chain?
What
Before
that
you go-
signal chain is. Well, starting from the very beginning.
Sorry, you're clipping.
I am.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, speaking about signal chains,
Yeah, my signal chain's hot.
he's got to change his. Well, we're running through the duality pre's. And then we're each using different microphones. I'm using a U87 today.
The classic.
Classic vocal mic.
Classic.
Classic.
I am using also the classic RE20. It's a dynamic mic.
And I'm using a ribbon mic because I'm punk rock.
Ooh.
And I'm using a Royer Labs R122 active ribbon mic. Neat.
Yes.
Fun.
Yeah, and we're all running into everyone said we're running into the duality board, which is pretty neat. And we're not using Pro Tools.
What?
What?
Who would do such a thing?
You would.
I
Jordan
know.
would.
Jordan would.
Blame it on me. It's okay.
I look at the monitor. I'm like, oh, we're going with Logic today.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
that's
I'm
the thing.
gonna edit it in Logic, so I'm like, might as well.
Might as well just
Might as
record in
well.
Logic.
Go
I mean,
to
we
it.
have Logic at the studio now, so
Yep.
Yeah.
up and
In
running.
both studios, so
Awesome.
there
Why
you go.
not change it
Yeah.
up a little bit?
It's pretty cool.
Logic's a DAW, in case you're wondering.
Digital audio
Workstation.
workstation, not workspace. Workstation.
Hey, tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
But who says tomato? I mean, come on.
Who doesn't?
Okay.
People that say tomato, you don't. Well, no, I think it's a UK thing.
Potato.
It totally is.
Yeah, so I was going to say, you don't want to
Tomato.
associate with those kind of people, but my wife is from the UK, and I definitely want to associate with her, and I
Yeah.
don't want her to disassociate with me. So, you do you, fam.
All right. Okay.
Cool. So, yeah. What are we talking about today, guys?
We are talking about microphones, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Let us know, guys. What were we talking about
Talking
today?
about.
We're just as lost as you are.
We had a little bit of an interesting setup. It took us a little while today,
Yes.
but
we're here.
we're here.
So, things happen. So yeah, we're talking about microphones today. And as you heard, we are talking on 3 different microphones. I'm on a dynamic, Audrey's on a condenser, and Gavin's on a ribbon. And kind of what we want to talk about today is part of our beginner series podcast is we want to talk about the differences in microphones and why you would use different kinds and different applications, what they're good for, what they're not good for, all kinds of things. So I'll get started and talk about the RE20. So our RE20, like I said, is a dynamic microphone. It is dynamic microphones are used a lot in live sound applications, but they're also used in studio applications as well. The reason why they are used a lot in live applications is because they reject a lot of sound really well. So, for example, I'm talking straight into the microphone right now, but if I move to the side, all of a sudden you can't really hear what I'm saying, right? So that's really cool because in live sound applications, you want to kind of isolate each thing as much as possible. Because in the studio, you have different ISO booths, you have different rooms you can record in, but on stage, you don't really have that. That would be weird.
It also minimizes feedback chances.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So It's just it really, they record kind of in dummy terms. They record directly what's in front of it and kind of reject everything else around it. So it's a really, really cool microphone to use in both live scenarios and in the studio. And they definitely have a certain sound. Yeah. So that's kind of my little spiel on dynamic microphones.
Yeah, condenser microphones would basically be the opposite of a dynamic microphone. They're going to pick up every little thing, which is why they're so great for vocals, is that they'll pick up a high range as well as every tiny little nuance to your voice. They're also great for drum overheads and rooms in the studio. Again, you don't really want to use them in live situations as much because you're going to get a higher chance of feedback. But I will say that in live situations, if a condenser is being used, it is usually a U87.
Or 414s are used.
Or 414s, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically condenser microphones are just ultra sensitive.
They have feelings.
They have feelings. Yeah.
I'm on a ribbon mic. You probably would not use this mic for what I'm using it right now for. And I feel pretty cool to be using it. The Royer Labs R122 is one of my absolute favorite mics. It does cool things. What up, Royer Labs? Holler.
I just realized we sponsor a lot of different brands on this podcast, like going through.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
So sponsor us, please.
Yeah. Like what? Is this falling on deaf ears? SSL?
Yeah, SSL, do you want to sponsor us?
Hint. So yeah, and ribbon mics are the oldest types of microphones. For the longest time, that was it. And that's very old technology compared to dynamic mics and certainly condenser mics too. But they do stuff really cool.
They're ultra sensitive.
Yes, very sensitive.
It's literally a paper thinner than a piece of paper ribbon placed inside of the capsule.
Yeah.
And that's what's picking up the vibrations, which is why usually you don't necessarily want to use them in a voice setting. Unless you have like a really good pop filter.
Exactly.
Just because your plosives will damage the ribbon.
Absolutely.
But this is also an active ribbon, so it can take a little bit more.
Has a little more, from what I remember, has a bit more, when the active kicks in and when it turns on, there's an actual like kind of EQ magic that happens, a little bit increased bass response and stuff, which I think is cool.
It's louder. One thing about ribbons is they're really, really quiet.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why you make it active is because it bumps up the signal to that of like a condenser microphone. So you don't need a super, super fancy high-end pre to make it sound good.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yep. And they sound awesome. There are vocal ribbon mics, going through history, RCAs, like the R44, R77. Those were all, you'd see Frank Sinatra singing into one, and they look really cool because like the old ones are like really Art Deco looking. So some people just
They're
collect
very
them just to have.
aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Super aesthetic.
We do have an R77 here at Robert Lang Studios.
An RCA. We also have the 84.
Yes, yeah, the AEAs. So yeah, ribbon mics, they're kind of like, those are like the boutique mics that you see a lot of people making now. Maybe it's because they're easy, I'm not too sure. But there's a company in Olympia, Washington called Cascade ribbon mics. They do a few other ones, but they do ribbon mics, and they have like a few different levels of ones.
They should sponsor us too.
Absolutely. I'm genuinely considering them. They're affordable.
Also affordable, budget friendly. MXL does affordable ribbon mics.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Girl, blowing
There
my
are
mind.
options.
Wow.
Options, guys.
Options.
But yeah, you can get a Cascade Fathead for like $200, and they sound good.
Wow.
Then they also do some with, because I was reading up on them the other day, because I was like, I want, give me. But they do other ones where you can kind of spec them out, and you can do like a couple different types of like transformers. If you want an Autobot or Decepticon in them.
He's a dad, so
I'm a dad.
he gets that one.
He gets a pass.
That's the one.
But the transformer's gonna like boost your signal basically out of the mic, and they have a few different ones that do some cool stuff. So what up, Cascade? You should be on the
Cascade.
podcast.
Yeah.
We're
feel
gonna
like,
holler at you. We coming for you.
I feel like ribbons have come like kind of back into
back into style.
Oh, absolutely.
I think especially with the whole like lo-fi home recording movement.
Vintage,
Yeah,
yeah.
like vintage, like everybody wants to be like, I recorded on ribbons.
Yeah.
Or like I recorded on a tube microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tube microphones.
Yeah, what is that?
A tube microphone.
Can you explain? What is that?
So a tube microphone is a microphone that requires its own like power supply, usually with a tube in it.
The mic has a tube in it. That the power supply powers the tube in the mic.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Thanks for
but, like,
mansplaining, Jordan.
Sorry. I was confused by
Yeah,
anyway,
no,
sorry.
it sounded like I was saying, but there are some like the C37s that we have. The tube is in the actual power supply.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it depends on the type of tube that you're working with. They're also very sensitive. There's something like a ribbon that you never want to apply phantom power to, because it will immediately destroy the microphone, which we've had happen here at the studio, to our ribbons and our tube microphones.
Man.
But they're kind of the same sort of deal. They usually need about 30 minutes to warm up, though, and to fully like power on. But they're the same sort of like vintage lo-fi feel, but they give a really cool tone and sound, I think, that really uniquely... I don't know where I'm going with that, but I think it's something that's like noticeable if you listen to something recorded on a tube microphone. I think you can kind of hear it, kind of like a ribbon.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I always think of it, and maybe this is wrong, but I think of it as like they're warm. They have the body of a ribbon, but they have the articulation of a condenser.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually louder than a ribbon microphone.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, yeah, I'm a big fan of ribbons. I kind of pushed Audrey out of the way to use this one today.
He did.
Yeah, I was all like, no, me.
I was like, oh, which one am I using? He's like, well, I'm using the ribbon.
I'm using this. Yeah.
I'm using the Royer.
But yeah, Royers so this is the active one, the R122. The R121 is the passive. It doesn't require phantom power, which we don't have here. But I'd like to play with one of those one of these days. And then the other big famous ribbon mics are the Coles, the 4038s,
Which we have a pair of
there's
here.
A pair of here, and then, again, those are like if you want something to sound old and dusty in a good way.
And have like a cool, like almost crunch to it.
Yes,
They were developed by BBC, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, if you didn't know. And I want to say, okay, I could be totally wrong on this aspect, but I think they were developed for the Beatles, maybe? I don't
Sure.
know.
I mean, I'll
By
go
the
with
BBC?
it. Yes.
Okay. I'll just commit to it.
Yeah.
Beatle-ophiles. Let us know.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
call me
People
out on
who've
that
read
one.
the Beatles Bible,
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah, it was definitely the BBC. I know for sure is that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to say it was around that area that they developed it for. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I did not know that.
cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Price points of these mics. I'm gonna look up the Royer. The RE20 I think is
400
ish. The 87.
The 87 is going to be...
I want to say like $3,000. They're kind of it's a
Ooh,
Neumann.
You guys are pretty close. 3,200.
Nice.
That's new.
New.
That's
So-
new,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing we should talk about is this is an 87 AI. It's not like the vintage 87, which that's going to go for I don't even know, but probably way more than $3,000. The reason why it's so expensive, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of it honestly is just because it's a Neumann, and you get a little bit of
the
that name
name.
brand. But that being said, Neumann's known for like at least 3 of the best microphones of all time: the 47, the 67, and the vintage 87. So
And they're also just known for being really like reliable microphones.
Yeah. You put one of those in front of something, it's gonna sound great.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be the mic's fault most of the time.
Yeah. And they're like solid. You don't feel like you're going to like destroy it if you hold it in your hand.
yeah, super high quality.
Yeah.
How much is the Royer? I was gonna look that up.
They're over 1,000. 122s I want to say are like 1,300 to 1,400. I want to say for a new one.
122. Sorry, we're on our phones. Oh, 1,800.
Oh dang,
Yeah.
that's way off.
You can get on
Sorry,
Reverb
guys.
for 1,400.
Yep.
Cool. What up, Reverb?
Shout out to Reverb if you want
out
to sponsor
Reverb.
us.
We like gift cards. We're greedy.
Coles 4038 would be. Get ready. 2,700.
For a one.
For one.
Oh no, that's a stereo match pair. Okay.
Oh, that's not bad
Let's get
at
some.
all.
So you can, here's a little, you can get an 87 for $3,000, or you can get 2 Coles for cheaper.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go with the 2 Coles.
I mean, yeah.
Just
The 80. Okay, so we on our very first podcast, we talked about how we were gonna talk about our hot takes and opinions. So I'm gonna start off the 87 that we have, the AI. It's a great microphone, but honestly, there's other mics we have.
I'm so sick of this whole 87 is the best microphone ever to ever exist.
She said it, but I agree.
Hot take.
I'm
She
ready.
took the hit.
I'm ready for the hate comments. I remember when I started, everybody was like 87s, and like if you had an 87, like that was the cool. It's still really cool. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong.
they're
Like
great.
87s are great microphones, but I was always like under the impression that everybody was like, yeah, this is like the universal vocal microphone. Like it's gonna sound great on anybody, and it doesn't.
False.
It doesn't.
It
It
doesn't.
really doesn't.
It really doesn't. It sounds very, very good on a very specific type of voice. And everything else, it
What
sounds
type of
just-
voice do you think it sounds good on, though?
I think it sounds great on like a female voice.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds great for hip hop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
And those are kind of the two that
Well, and that's probably what, because like pop female vocals, that's probably where people are getting that from.
Exactly.
have a higher register.
Yeah.
And I think that people just like, they see, because a lot of the times, like in the movies, when they're using a microphone, they're using a U87. So people just like, people love to love what's popular and what's
Yeah.
being like shown to them in media. And this is what's being shown in media. And so everybody's like, 87s. I just personally, if I'm going to go with a vocal microphone, an 87 is usually the last thing that I try.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Fair.
At least this 87.
Yeah.
I've never used the vintage 87, so I
I
don't.
have never used a vintage 87 either.
Yeah. So I don't know. And engineers are always like, "Oh, it sounds great." So maybe that's where
Yeah.
our beef is with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have, at the studio here, we also have a Neumann 67 and 47, and it's like,
I would rather use the 47.
yeah, just use the
any day.
47. Why would you go
Yeah.
for the 87?
Like, I'm
that
sorry,
one
but-
sounds dope.
And I've
Yeah.
heard also with the 67, it's the same sort of deal where it sounds really, really great on female vocalists and kind of everything else, just because it captures that high end really well. But everything else, like mids and below, it kind of just like fizzles out. So yeah, 47 I think is like a really great universal starting point at the studio.
I was going to tell you, sorry, side note, our 67 hasn't been working for a while, and I got it to work the other day. Finally.
You did?
Yeah.
Every time I've tried to use that microphone, it's had some sort of buzz or hum to it.
Yeah, Bob,
But I've been trying.
I know, and I've used it 3 times, and every time it sounds
It
like
sounds
crap.
like flat or it sounds like
Yeah.
dull.
But I used it once, and it was like, oh yeah, you were there too.
I was there. Oh yeah, it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
because we were doing, we were working with a client, and this person was going to do some vocal stuff. So we set up 5 or 6 mics, and kind of went through them, and just to see which one suited that particular singer. And I want to say the 67 was actually in the running.
It was probably in the top 3. I would have said, oddly enough, so to give some context, this was for pop punk type style music. And the RE20, which is what I'm speaking into, won the contest. But my runner-up, if we wanted like more of that vintagey sound, the RCA that we have,
Yeah,
that
the
sounded
The
really
RCA
cool.
is one of my favorite vocal
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
mics
really
right
it
now.
sounded. It gave a really vintagey like quality to it. I know I'm sure there's people out there that are like, stop saying vintagey, whatever. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, deal with it.
And then if I didn't want that vintage sound and I didn't have a RE20, I would have said the 67.
Yeah.
Was by
Yeah,
far
it worked
better.
Really good. Yeah.
I am obsessed with the RE20 on vocals right now.
Yeah.
It's my new obsession,
Yeah.
and it's bad because I feel like a loser doing the same thing every time, but it sounds so good.
Yeah.
Like if it's what you're going for, and especially if you mix it with another microphone, like I love mixing it with the RCA, and you just get this really cool like range between the two.
Yep. And it also has. It looks kind of funky. The reason why I've been told the reason why it looks the way it is it's to help reduce the proximity effect. So Audrey, do it on yours. When she gets closer to it,
Hello.
it gets like even warmer and warmer, and just like get right up against it.
Hi.
This is awkward.
Just let me get really in there.
But when you get closer, especially to a condenser microphone, it really picks up the low end, which you can use to your advantage for the engineers out there. Like if you have a vocalist and you're like, it sounds kind of just tinny and like nasally, and I want a little more low end, just have them get like right up to the microphone. The RE20 is built to minimize that. So when you're...
Because it's a classic broadcast microphone.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the reason why it looks kind of the way it does. It's kind of funky looking,
Yeah.
but it's cool.
That's actually really cool. I had no idea why it looked like that, and I've always wondered.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
Jaquelism.
There's like
Thanks,
lines
Jaquel.
and grills everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like you're supposed to like talk around.
Yeah.
the
yeah.
microphone.
I've seen people do that because there's those, and then like another popular dynamic mic, that's Sennheiser 421. I've seen people, they think they talk into it on the side.
Well, it's like that meme from the Queen movie where they have the RE20, but it's pointed straight
Straight
up
up,
at the
yeah.
ceiling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
everybody's like, why is your RE20 pointed straight up?
Yeah. So
That's
it's
so funny.
confusing, but it's pretty funny. But yeah, I've seen people think that it's
The
it's-
421s, yeah, they
it's a
have the
side address, but it's not. You stupid. No.
Yeah, what he means by that, if you're an engineer and you're like, what is he talking about? Some microphones are side address, some microphones are not. So like some microphones, like you
This is
point
a
it.
side address.
Yeah, exactly. If you're watching.
Condensers tend to be
Condensers tend to be side address.
Yeah.
Dynamics tend to be
directional.
Yeah. So you're
And
pointing
then
it.
ribbons are also side address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have the ribbon.
Because you have, a ribbon that
The
has to be.
ribbon.
The ribbon.
Your accordion ribbon.
Yeah. What other things? Oh, anything else on microphones?
I love microphones.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because it will probably regret saying this, but I want to say it's yeah, okay. Mild
said-
take, lukewarm take, it's probably the most important thing you need to record
In life.
in
Just
life
In life.
in general, because you can do direct and plug your stuff and direct into a computer and it'll sound like crap. But to get, even if you're just starting out, the difference between plugging, your guitar into your Boss Metal Zone, into your Focusrite, into your computer, that's going to sound pretty crappy. And everyone kind of starts like that. You always start from the bottom,
Using like, are you talking about using modeling like?
or
just
even if you're
straight?
just running direct in,
Yeah.
before, like back in my day, we didn't have guitar modeling. Because that's what it was. You just plug it direct in, and you're just kind of like, well, that's what I got right now. This is what I'm doing. And it sounds terrible, but it's it's a start. But then the difference between that and then actually putting an SM57 or a cheap dynamic mic that you could afford because you're 16 or whatever, that's gonna sound so much better than running direct.
Yeah.
And they do make a world of difference. It's a paintbrush, and
Yeah, I think if you're going to invest in something, microphones are
right.
worth investing
Yeah,
in.
because you have, you could
You can buy cheap DIs that work really well.
Exactly,
You can buy
yeah.
cheap interfaces and pre's that actually
That'll
are
be
pretty
just
great
fine,
and
yeah.
really good simulators. But when it comes to microphones, I think that those are something that are worth spending the money on.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because you can get by with cheaper colors. Blue is blue, no matter what unless you're like me and you're colorblind. Then you don't know what you're gonna get. But it's how you use that color. This is a much different paintbrush than that. Man, people might just be listening. So a ribbon is going to be a much different paintbrush than a condenser or dynamic.
It's like using oil paints versus acrylics versus
Too.
watercolors.
Yeah, exactly.
that's-
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah. Art.
Talented.
We're deep.
Art. It's all related, you guys. Your imagination.
Do you think spending over $1,000 for a microphone do you think it's either stupid or do you think it's necessary? Or does
I
it
had
make a difference?
$1,000 to spend on a microphone, I would do it.
You would? Yeah.
Me too.
I would,
I would do it
Like,
in a heartbeat.
I would too.
I would
because-
still probably go on Reverb and get a lower price.
Yeah.
So that's a lower 1,000 range.
Right.
But I'm a believer in buying things used. I don't feel the need to own things brand new. I like the history of something
the
that's been
warranty.
used.
The warranty.
The warranty.
What if it doesn't
I'm just
work?
like, I'm a weirdo and I like the history of something that's been used. But yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, we got a little distracted
Got
for
a
a
little
second.
distracted, but I believe, yeah, I would totally spend the money.
Yeah, you would.
If I had it, 100%.
Yeah.
Right now, I have like $100 to drop at a time on a microphone, and Reverb's my best friend because of that.
Oh, Reverb. It will become your best friend. Or Vintage King, but
Vintage King,
gets
Man.
too expensive. Yeah. Anyways, I think, so that's actually an interesting thing. You brought that up. So one day we had a mic shootout at the studio where we brought in, we have a U47, a vintage U47, and someone brought in the Warm Audio 47.
Yes.
And we tested them side by side as you know, as relatively well as we could, you know. And definitely the vintage U47 sounded better, but I don't think it sounded $20,000 better. You know what I mean?
Right. Because the Warm Audio that's an $800 tube
Yeah,
condenser mic. and
Exactly.
It sounds pretty darn good.
it sounds good.
I'll say even I have just a C1 Studio Projects mic that I got from Reverb for like $80. It usually goes for like $250. I kind of compare it to the U87 AI.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar. Yeah. And it was only $80.
And that's the thing is because like MXL, their large diaphragm condenser, like the 2001 or something like that, they did what they made a budget version of that the capsule that's in there. And I've yet to shoot it out, but I mean I've used it as an overhead for drums and stuff at my house, and I was like, this sounds fine. You know, it's like, is it usable? Does it work? Are you in debt because you have it or not?
Yeah, and I think like as long as you're taking care of it and you know.
Yeah, works good.
Yeah. But yeah, I would spend the money. I wish I had the money to buy.
Me
$1,000
too.
microphone.
Yeah. I'm so good at
Like
spending
I'm
money.
so like when an engineer comes in that I'm assisting for and they bring in their own microphones and they're like, oh, here's my microphone here and there and here and there.
M49 or whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just
wrong.
like, all right, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
hot shot over here. I got my C1 Studio Projects in the
Yeah.
back.
No, but I think going back to one of our previous podcasts, Audrey, you were talking about at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter what microphone you're using. It's more about what you're using it for and like how you're using it. Because we were talking about how the 57, how if you can't get a good sound using that microphone, like it doesn't matter if you spend 10 grand on a microphone.
Yeah, just like if
Right.
you can't get a good sound using GarageBand, then it doesn't matter if you have Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all- yeah.
And the computer just sees it as ones and zeros.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all.
So I don't want like people to get discouraged. Like, oh man, I don't have 10 grand. Okay, well
Because
I
guess
guess
what?
I'm
We
screwed.
don't have 10 grand either.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't?
Like,
and
you're-
we're still doing it.
Yeah, and
so.
we're still here. We're still kicking.
I'm very much independently wealthy. So.
Okay. Well,
Okay, so Gavin does have 10 grand, and he will be buying one microphone with that.
yes.
Yes.
It'll be a C12. No. C12s I think you can get for like 6 grand.
I'll do a C24.
Okay, yeah. That's going to cost you about 12 grand.
Okay. Well,
On Reverb.
on Reverb. Okay.
You can get it.
I mean,
Again,
oh,
Reverb, sponsor us.
Yeah.
How many times do we have to name drop you?
Man, one of these
Just
days we're
give
gonna
us
have
hats and we'll wear your hats in
yes,
our next.
just like
Yeah.
NASCAR drivers.
Yeah, we just want gear. We just,
Yeah, like I just want swag.
Yeah,
Like
swag.
swag. That's the first time I think I've ever said swag. Like,
Pulled it off well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Swag.
And Audrey first.
You heard it here, folks.
Audrey
said-
wants swag.
Audrey wants swag. So bad that she said the word swag. Yeah, one of these days we're gonna have to go in and like see what, because I mean, there's a million different dynamics. There's a million different condenser microphones out there, and we're gonna have to deep dive one of these days and actually do the work and figure out what makes particular capsules so
Quality of materials.
quality. Yeah, because it's like, oh, everyone wants to replicate like the C12, the AKG C12 capsule, and it sounds amazing. Like we have a C24 here at the studio, and that is
It's a beautiful microphone. It's amazing.
yeah, and that's another thing where it's like, okay, yeah, that's probably the prettiest sounding mic I've ever heard.
I think it's just like you put that on a piano and you're just like,
Done.
okay.
Yeah, but also you can put a 57 on a piano,
And you'll be
done.
like, wow, amazing.
Yeah,
And guess what? I have a 57.
yeah.
Yeah. for only $100. Hey, sure. You want to sponsor us too?
Hi, sure. I only have one. I would like another.
Yeah, me too. Please.
I'd like to at least have a pair.
Apparently, my phone thought we were talking to it.
Siri,
Hey,
go
Siri.
away.
Hey, Siri. Hang on, let me listen. Are you spying for the Russians?
On our podcast.
On our
where
podcast.
All the deep, dark secrets are coming out right now.
What up, Vladimir Putin? Trying to sponsor us too. So yeah, I mean, gear in general is such a deep subject because everyone makes something similar, from mics to preamps to friggin' everything, and everyone has an opinion about why this one's better and why this one's not, and why you should spend this much and not that much, and yada yada yada.
And if yeah.
And so there's no way that we're ever going to answer that question here. We'll certainly do our best to
Guide
you and use it so you can know what your voice sounds like, or what, my voice has been described of, like, if Tom DeLonge hosted The Price is Right, that's what my voice has been described as, like my speaking voice. So if you ever wondered what Tom DeLonge hosting The Price is Right sounds like on a ribbon mic,
Come on down.
it's right
It's
here.
right there in this podcast.
And you want a new car. So hopefully it'll provide some perspective. And I think, honestly, I think that's the biggest thing.
And now
here
you
is-
know that if you talk like a Valley girl from the 90s, you'll sound great on a U87.
It sounds great.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I
Hey,
sound like.
hold
but-
on. Let's switch mics really quick.
Oh,
Ooh,
good
let's do it.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone go around one, and then we'll do another one. Let's see if we can do this. Oh my god!
All right, here I am now on the.
Here I am on the RE20.
And I'm on the 67.
How do I sound?
Or no, 87.
I'm on the Royer. It's a ribbon.
It's
Yeah.
It's really weird not having headphones on now. I'm like,
It is,
oh, okay,
yeah.
weird.
I sound pretty good.
You sound good. You could probably back up a little bit.
Yeah.
'Cause you're a little, you're a little hot.
I'm loud. I'm sorry.
I could probably move in a little closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like our time's almost up. But
Yeah.
shall we go around the circle and?
Let's switch one more time and then we'll share our music of the week.
Yes.
Good idea.
Cool.
Okay,
All right.
yes.
One more time.
Yeah. If you're watching online, never mind. You just have to watch the video.
Man, this is so embarrassing, but also awesome.
All right,
I'm alive.
Okay.
here we go. Oh, now
Here
I have
we
the
are.
headphones.
And Gavin's on the RE20.
Audrey's on the Royer.
And Jordan's on the 87.
We're just referring to ourselves in third person. Awesome. So who wants to start off with our musician of the week?
What's your artist of the week?
The artist I chose was Under Oath. They're not particularly I really liked them when I was a lot younger, and like I won't like crap on them. They're a really good and successful band. But the album specifically was one called Define the Great Line, and the reason why that band and that album are kind of sticking out to me right now is that was the first time, because I think that came out in 2006, 2007. So it's an older album now, so I'm 10-ish years old.
I was in 6th grade.
I was very much in high school.
was
No,
very
I was out of
much-
high school.
Oh, wow.
If you were
Wow.
in 6th grade, then that means that I was in 3rd grade.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Yeah,
so
it came out
cute.
I graduated in 2005, so it's really taken me a long time.
I graduated in 2015.
Whoa.
Wow.
10 years.
Aging ourselves.
Yeah, it took me a while to get my life together. So yeah, and I remember that was the first album I really sought out, like all the personnel, not just the band that worked on it. I bought like the deluxe edition of the CD, and it had like a making of, and because I was really starting to get into that, like how did they record it? Yeah. And then they had a DVD included with the CD. That's how old it was, with like, this is how we recorded it. And it was mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. And that was, I'm sure I'd listened to a bunch of Chris Lord-Alge stuff prior to that. But that was the first time where I was like, oh, this guy does cool stuff, and like kind of seeking out, like, that was the start of me really figuring out, like, oh, wow, the mix engineers and the producers on this, like, they contribute a lot to those albums. And that was like the first real, like, mix engineer that kind of stuck in my head. So it's definitely a milestone album for me in a few different ways. It's pretty cool. It's pretty heavy. It's good stuff. If you know, then you know, and a lot of people do. So, I'm done.
Well, my artist, to keep it short and simple, I like Mingo Fist Trap. Say that 20 times fast.
Mingo is the name of my cat back home.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, Mingo. Yeah, Mingo Fish Trap. They are, what a great name. They are a funk soul band from Austin, Texas. And I know, I love funk. I'm that white boy that loves soul and funk. I grew up listening to Chicago and Tower of Power, which are famous for their horn sections. And Mingo Fish Trap has an incredible horn section, as well as a great vocalist. They're just they're just a fun band to listen to. It's just fun music. So yeah, go ahead and check them out. We'll also have all of our suggestions on our Spotify playlist, which you can go through and listen to a whole bunch of different.
Yep. It's a little short right now, but it'll grow.
It will grow.
larger.
It'll keep growing. But yeah, so Mingo Fish Trap. Go check them out.
My artist of the week is one of my personal heroes, and I think she's incredible. Solange, also known as Beyonce's younger sister. But I think that all the credit ever should go to her. Her last album was released in 2016. And it's an unbelievably beautiful album with a lot of meaning behind it. And it's a concept album, which was kind of my first introduction to that. And I absolutely am obsessed with it, and I still listen to it on a weekly basis. I listened to it on my way here today.
What's the concept?
It's entirely like it was during the huge time of like the Black Lives Matter movement coming up. So it's really based around women of color. And empowering them, and it's just an incredibly beautiful album. There's a whole bunch of collaborations. Every other song is actually a short, like 30-second interview with somebody that she's asked to tell their story.
Oh wow! Oh cool.
And it's a gorgeous album. The harmonies are unbelievable. It was produced by her husband. All the videos were produced by her and her husband. And I just think it's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and she's inspiring to me. So yeah.
Also, she has a really cool song on Yo Gabba Gabba. Was Beyonce ever on Yo Gabba Gabba?
Also, she sang the theme song to the Proud Family on Disney Channel.
Cool.
No way.
Yep, that was her and Kelly Rowland.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yep.
Go team.
So yeah, that's my artist of the week, Solange.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for us. Bye, friends.
Oh wait,
Bye.
let's get our handles really quick.
Oh, handles.
At 3 Moons Kevin.
Sorry, go.
On Instagram.
We're really good at this. At Jordan C. Smitty on Instagram.
At Odd Records on Instagram.
And go find us at 3moonsaudio.com, 3moonsaudio on Instagram. We have a YouTube page. We have our podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and everywhere in the world you can get podcasts. Yay, okay.
And a Spotify playlist. Woo!
Yay. All right, bye guys.